Aurore Giguet is the new director of the Rice Museum. And since very few of you have ever met her, and we do have a good relationship between the club and the museum, I thought it would be appropriate for us to welcome her. And ask her to tell us a little bit about her background. She not a fossil person, so she doesn't have another presentation for us. So, Aurora, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for letting me log in and talk to everybody. As Reg said, I am new. I'm just starting my third month. I started August 1st. I moved from Pennsylvania. I am not a content specialist, but a museum specialist. So I'm almost starting my 30th year of working in the museum field. I've started as a student worker when I was at university, all the way up to directorship. So I've pretty much held any position you can in a museum, from mopping floors, feeding snakes. We used to go on archaeological digs, up to being a curator, an art installer, and then the directorship. So I have been a director since 1995. I first got my first directorship. So I have a lot of experience working with museums, and I'm really excited to be at the Rice. There's so much potential there. It's just a really weird time to have moved cross country, and it's affected my ability to get out and meet people. But luckily we have things like this, like Zoom, where we could at least kind of meet each other and see each other face to face. So, what am I going to be doing? You're probably asking what's going to happen at the museum in the next couple of months or years. Well, first of all, it's implementing museum best practices and reviewing policies and procedures. Those aren't the fun kind of things. Those are more behind the scene things. We're also going to be rethinking our galleries and their flow and their purposes. And what do I mean by that? Like the basement, I think, is a perfect example of what we are striving for. So on the main level, it's almost like the galleries are competing with the house itself. If you go to the basement, it's fully functioning as a museum should, except with the exception of having interpretive didactics. So we'll be adding some interpretive material to the basement. So on the upstairs, we're thinking of gallery flow. What's the best purposes for those galleries? I'd like to have a dedicated classroom space, a dedicated lounge or reading area where we're providing materials for people to peruse and look through, so it's more of a destination to encourage people to stay. We will be looking at creating a gallery just for special exhibitions. So instead of having one or two cases that are down in the basement, there's one area that can be dedicated for special collections. In addition, like I said, we'll be adding more interpretive materials, talking more about the history of the family, the history of building of the house. And we'd like to do something about how kids can start being introduced to rock hounding or to being interested in fossils. So it's more of an educational experience versus just sort of this cabinet of curiosities is what the museum is now. There's very little didactic information. There's lots of things we're talking about and we'd like to do. But of course, we're in a pandemic, so we can't really solidify plans, particularly because we've lost most streams of revenue. So the museum has about $150,000 hole to fill within the next 12 months just to keep it operating at minimal. That means I'm the only really full-time person that's working right now. We're building our volunteer base, and we have 3 other part-timers. So that's a lot to take care of and work on and maintain with just that level of staffing, and while trying to raise money. $150,000 is a big hole to fill. So that's pretty much what I do most days, is just look for grants to apply to. So if you're members or past members, you'll be getting emails from me or letters asking you to rejoin as members. And appeal letters will go out soon. And that's basically what I've been doing. Does anyone have any questions about the museum or about my experience or any ideas?
I will point out that I'm doing something interactive with the museum next week. Is National Fossil Day on Wednesday, the 14th. And I'm going to be doing a live streamed Zoom meeting from my shop, showing people for a brown bag lunch, showing people how to use air scribes to prepare fossils. And
Yes. So we are very excited about that. I think it's the first sort of digital engagement that the museum has done since it closed March 17th. And we're looking to do more of those things. Actually, right now we are without a museum educator. So when people like Greg are able to step in and help us, it's very much appreciated. If anyone else has ideas for doing short little, either pre-recorded or live segments, we'd love to talk to you.
And a lot of these, we'll record them and then they'll be hooked in to the museum's Facebook and webpage. And I don't know how they're going to do it. But basically, if you have videos or want to make little videos about rocks or being a rock hound or, in my case, fossil prep, they'd be glad to basically, take your video and host it and link it up and let people look at it.
Thank you, Greg. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the museum or want to come for a visit? We are open 3 days a week right now. We're hoping to expand those hours if we continue getting good traffic.
I guess on the lines of grants, does NSF have anything available in terms of like collections management and kind of like upkeep during COVID? I heard a while back that there was a big, I shouldn't say big, but there was a slight boost to NSF funding.
There were in the early when first with the first CARES Act, NEH, NEA, IMLS, and NSF had lots of money through the CARES Act. Most of it's already been distributed, and unfortunately, the museum did not apply for those. There are a couple coming up from IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Services, specifically for smaller museums. There's no limit of the amount of proposals you can apply for that money. And it's projects up to 100,000. So I plan on doing multiple proposals for that one. And that one of those will be for collection care.
All right.
And if anybody has a spare $100,000, she'll take it.
Even $50. I like, $5.
Well, we'll all be seeing a lot of Aurore, and it's not Aurora like the Disney princess. It's
yeah, it's Aurore. It's the French spelling, so it has an E, no A.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully we'll all be able to get together in person in a reasonable period of time.
That would be great. I mean, like I said, if you have ideas or suggestions, I'm always open for an email or a call. We are hoping to get some interactives back into the galleries. Science is suggesting that the virus is not spread so much through touch as it is through aerosols. So hoping to bring back interactives. And one of them I hope is a fossil rubbing that kids can do. And we'll have sanitizing wipes and lotion or gel for them to use afterwards. And Greg's helping with that as well. But if anyone wants to come on down to the Rice and help us with anything, it'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, make an appointment. You can go there.
Yeah, you can go and visit.
Even on the off days.
Yes.
As long as you're going to do something positive. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.